C tokens. C tokens are the basic building blocks of programming language. If anyone wants to be good at programming language called C, they need to be perfect with all these tokens. Now let us see what are all the different basic building blocks present in C language. The first one is constants. The second one is variables. The third one is identifiers. The fourth one is data types. The fifth one is keywords. Sixth one is operators. Seventh one is statements. Eighth one is expression. And the ninth one is special symbols. So these are all the C tokens. If you are familiar with all these C tokens, then I can say you will be thorough in the programming language called C. Now let us see in detail about each and every C tokens. Let us first start with constant. First, let us understand the definition of a constant. Constant is the value which doesn't change throughout the program, or the value which is fixed. We are calling it as a constant. There are different types of constants. The first one is Boolean constant, that is either it should be true or false. The second one is character constant. The individual character, whatever we want to give it as a constant value, we can give it as a character constant. Next, third one is string constant. Fourth one is integer constant. Fifth one is real constant. The sixth one is literal constant. And the last seventh one is define constant. So these are all the different C constants, right? We shall see the examples of these C constants. Let us see one example program. Constants. What do you mean by a constant? We have already gone through about it. So let us recap it. Constant is a value which doesn't change. So as part of this particular example, we are going to see the different types of constants, how we are going to represent it. So the problem statement here is to understand the different types of constants. So let us recap once what are the different types of constants, and we shall write as part of our code. So we need to write according to the structure of C program. First one is documentation section. So within the documentation section, I wrote the problem statement. According to the requirement, you write the everything for each and every code. Now here hash include stdio.h is the header file. Within int main, I am initializing one identifier with the constant as a keyword. Any value which you want to make it as a constant throughout the program, then you need to prefix it with const as a keyword. Const followed by char ch equal to, within the single inverted commas I am writing a, which means I am initializing a value a to the identifier called ch. All the individual characters you need to enclose within the single quotations. And in order to make it as a constant, we are going to use const as a keyword. The next one is we are writing string const char name. Within the brackets we are writing size. So this is actually array notation. So that we are going to see in the topic of arrays. Here equal to Virtulearn, which means now I am initializing a string constant. So this is how we need to write the character constant and string constant. Next, if you want to see the different constant, for example, if you want to write now any integer constant, then we need to specify const as a keyword followed by the data type name followed by whatever the value which you want to make it as a constant throughout the program, right? Const int, give a identifier name. I am giving the identifier name as val followed by 50, which means wherever you access this identifier name called val, the value is fixed. You cannot change the value of val identifier. This is how we are going to write the integer constant. And the next one is real constant. So in the real constant, we know there are two data types. One is float and the other one is double. So I am here using the data type as float. So I am initializing the variable, that is an identifier name as val2. This is an identifier name val2. I am giving the value as 66.256, which is nothing but this is a real constant. Please do remember val1, val2 are identifier names. They are also written with the rules of identifiers. And the next one is const double val3 equal to 232.4354. So this is also a real constant. Whenever we are writing these identifier names, you should also follow the rules of identifiers. Please do remember this. And the next one, if I want to represent any constant which the value should be a literal constant, then I can write in this way, like int give some identifier name as result or res. Now here I am going to change the value like res equal to, I am giving the identifier name as val1 plus I am giving some value called phi. Now this phi is a literal constant. This phi is a literal constant. And whatever the val1 value may be, for that value we are just adding phi. This literal constant we see in many real-time applications. For example, whenever we are generating an electricity bill, there is a unit cost price. According to the unit cost price, the value will be multiplied and you are going to get the electricity bill. And the next one, whenever we want to print all these values, we are going to print according to their format specifiers. Now ch is a identifier of which data type? Char data type. Then we need to use %c as a format specifier. Next, name. Name is a string %s. So /n is nothing but it's an escape sequence which is used to display the output in the next line. Next, similarly I am going to give the val1. I am just going to print the val1 value. Val1 equal to Now integer, the format specifier for integer is %d. %d followed by inverted commas, give the identifier name. So in the place of this %d, you are substituting the val1 value. Next, val2. What is the format specifier for float is %f. %f followed by val2. Next, we are going to print the value of double. The format specifier for double is, you can use %f or you can use %lf /n followed by, you are going to give the identifier name. So the identifier name for double data type is val3. Next, I am going to print the result, res equal to, now res is a variable which is declared with the integer data type. The format specifier is %d, comma res. Now after giving all this displaying, I clearly said you the last one will be return 0. So once you write it, then you need to compile it. In the compiling, you will be finding any errors. If there is any error, then you need to again go back to the code and make the changes. So as part of this code, you don't have any errors, just you can see the output what it is displayed. So ch, it is A. Next, name, it is Virtulearn. Val1 it is 50. Val2 it is 66.256. So after that we get a precision value. That is the reason why it is giving 0.255997. So for float and double, after point we get 6 precision values. So you can clearly see there are 6 precisions after point. The next, literal constant, for a given val1 50, we are just adding literal constant value as 5. That is 55. The result value is 55. Now you have seen whatever we have initialized, the same values it is getting displayed on the screen, displayed as part of the output, right? Now if I am making any changes for these constant values, then there are some errors which will be generated. Now let us try to understand by changing the constant value. So how we can change that constant value is, just within the code itself, what I try to do is, I'll try to modify the value within the given scope of the code. Scope in the sense, within this open and closed curly brace, the lifetime of the value. As I said, const char ch, which has been defined within the given main. So throughout the program, throughout the scope of that particular program, that is within the open and closed curly brace, the value of ch will be a itself. You cannot modify that value, and this is also called as a read-only value. Read-only values cannot be modified. So wherever you want to make any read-only values, then you are going to write it with a const. So we also see many real-time applications as well. For example, if you see bank application, there are some personal loan, education loan, and there are different loan categories. You name any bank and associated with the branches of it, the entire rate of interest will be unique. That is, the rate of interest will be constant for all the branches throughout that specific bank. Now let us try to identify the value by changing. Now I am trying to give the value, that is val1 equal to 200. Val1 equal to 200. The earlier val1 was 50 and now I am modifying it as 200. We clearly see that val1 is of const data type. Now val1, I am updating the value as 200. Now if you try to run this particular code and check what will be the updated value of val1, so you will clearly get an error message stating that Assignment of read-only variable val1. So this is a read-only variable val1, which means the read-only values cannot be modified. If at all if you want to modify that value, then definitely it should be a variable, which means without writing const keyword before a identifier name, it will become a variable. Now as part of this particular code, we are seeing the constants. So I am writing const as a keyword, which means I cannot modify the read-only variable. If you are trying to modify it, then it will throw an error. So what is the error message here? Whenever we are trying to modify the constant variable is assignment of read-only variable val1. So this is the error message which we get it. This not only applicable for only integer, but you can also implement the same thing by changing for the different identifier names. Now let me just change the value of another identifier. Next we can understand how this value will be impacted, whether we are going to get the same error message or whether we are going to get the different message. Now let me give the another variable. Let me change for another variable, that is ch. Now I am changing this ch with b. Earlier I have given the constant value as a. Now I am trying to modify the character ch as b. So here also we are getting the same error message, assignment of read-only variable ch, because ch is also an identifier which is given with the data type char, followed by it is also a constant. So constant character, it can also not be changed whenever we are trying to change within the lifetime of the given piece of code.